On the first day of filming, Debra Winger farted at Shirley MacLaine. Richard Gere was called a brick wall by her. When Madonna joined the cast, she quit a league of her own. Hollywood said she was hard to work with. She said she was honest. Then, in 1995, she was nowhere to be found. It got 3 Oscar nominations and made a lot of money at the box office, but she just left. Don't say goodbye. No reason given. People didn't know what happened for years. She had a near-death experience when she was 18, broke a promise in Ireland, and made a choice that shocked everyone who knew her. Mary Debra Winger came into the world in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, on May 16, 1955. And from the start, her life had a strange feeling of being double. Their family tree goes back to being Jewish. That went all the way back to Russia and Austria-Hungary. Her father, Robert Jack Winger, was a meatpacker, and the actress Deborah Paget was very important to him. He named his daughter after her. After many years, Paget would hear about this and smile at the thought. This made the story something the Wingers loved. Ruth Felder, her mother, helped support the family by running an office. The family built a warm but difficult world together. They insisted on calling her Mary as she grew up, but her parents called her Deborah. And that little split gave one child 2 identities. On the outside, it felt soft, but on the inside, it felt strange, like she was practicing for the changing roles that would become her life. Until one day, when things changed again, they moved west to try something new. They lived in Cleveland when she was a young child. The Wingers put their whole lives into a car and drove to Southern California when she was 5 years old. At first, the move seemed normal, but it gave Deborah chances that no one saw coming. When the classroom was full of noisy kids, she moved ahead quietly. She finished her work so quickly that her teachers were shocked. Because she was smart, she moved up so quickly that she finished high school at age 15, walking across the graduation stage while most teens her age were having trouble with homework and making friends in the hallways. During those years, she learned something private and important. She fell in love with acting, not as a hobby, but as a place where she could be herself. Her family didn't know about her love because she was afraid to tell them. She may have been afraid that they wouldn't get it or that the dream would become less real if they knew about it. So she kept it close to her while life kept taking her in strange directions. So soon after graduating from high school, she went to California State University, Northridge, to study criminology and sociology. It looked like a stable path that she could talk about with other people without feeling exposed. She got a part-time job at Six Flags Magic Mountain to make money. She wore heavy costumes and performed for crowds that didn't see the girl inside. It was hard work and sometimes made her look bad, like when she dressed up as a troll from the park. She did it anyway because she needed the money. And wasn't ready to tell everyone about her real dream yet. She went home every night feeling tired and longing for something. She lived 2 separate lives that never met. During the day, she was the practical student, and at night, she was the quiet dreamer. She didn't know when or how these 2 sides of herself would ever come together. Then she went on a trip to Israel when she was in her late teens. That became the stuff of myths over time. She told stories for years about helping out on a kibbutz and even training with the Israel Defense Forces. These stories made her sound brave and fun. Because she liked dramatic things, these stories fit with who she was, and people believed them. She finally told the truth in 2008, though. And said the truth was much easier to understand. The only thing that was different about her trip was that it stopped for a short time at a kibbutz. There was no military training, long-term volunteer work, or tough challenges. She changed the story in a way that showed how much she had grown, even though the truth wasn't as exciting as the story. One day when she was 17 and she was at Magic Mountain, nothing was the same. She worked the Christmas show while dressed as a troll. Her boss told her that the costume was expensive and needed to be kept safe. She was sitting in the back of a small truck when she saw her costume fall off the edge. Her hand went out to save it before she even thought about it. The driver then swerved, throwing her hard onto the asphalt. Everything was quiet. A brain hemorrhage happened because of the impact. The wound in her brain is very deep. That morning, she woke up in a hospital bed and found that she was blind and could not move her legs fully. The doctors said she would never see again. It was like a long night with no sunrise when the words hit her. For 10 months, she was alone in the dark. After day, there was no light. Even the shape of her hands made her feel like a memory was leaving her. Without help, she couldn't walk or do simple things. She also couldn't get away from the fear that this darkness would last forever. People came to comfort her, but they couldn't get to the quiet place where she was thinking. During those long hours, she became more aware of something. And she thought about the things she never dared to go after in life. She thought about how she had kept her acting a secret from everyone. In the midst of the long silence, she made a promise that helped her stay alive. She would give up her practical studies and become an actress with all her heart if she ever got her sight and mobility back. When her body hurt, that promise kept her going. As if by magic, her sight slowly but surely began to return. Little bits of vision came back to me like shy guests. She was able to move her limbs again after painful hours of therapy. It was a miracle to the doctors. It was a second chance, she said. As soon as she was able to see and walk, she quit studying crime and started acting classes right away. She kept the promise she had made in the dark and wouldn't look back. Following that, she lived with a fire that came from making it through something that most people never do. It changed how she worked, how she got around, and how she picked her roles. It also made her not afraid of anything. When she had to make a choice, she thought about the time she had faced death when she was 17. On New Year's Eve 1973, when she was only 18, that fearlessness was very clear. A simple fall from a moving truck almost put an end to everything. The brain hemorrhage was so bad that doctors told her family she might not make it through the night. When she finally woke up, she was blind and could not move fully. The nightmare got worse. She couldn't see her family and friends who were gathered around her. She was unable to move around freely. In an instant, everything in her life had been taken away. But in that darkness, she found the promise that kept her going. Those 10 months were filled with fear, pain, and the slow process of rebuilding her body and her sense of self. As soon as she stood up and walked again, she knew that things would never be the same again. She had been through the worst and kept going. When she left the hospital, she had a clarity that most people look for their whole lives. The dream she hid at first became the most important thing in her life, and she will always remember it. In 1995, when she was 40 years old and at the height of her fame, it helped her leave Hollywood. Some people thought it was bad for her career, but she saw it as being honest. At age 18, she learned that life was too short to waste on things that didn't matter, so she turned down roles that didn't push her. In 1976, she got her start as a professional actress when she played Drusilla on the Wonder Woman show. Her first show aired on November 6, 1976, and she was 21 years old. She got to step into a world that mixed fantasy and heroism with her own fierce energy as Fairy Princess, the younger sister of Wonder Woman. The part opened doors for her and showed Hollywood how deep she was. They even thought about making a Wonder Girl spin-off for her, but it never happened. There were rumors that she didn't want to be associated with a superhero image or that she was afraid of being stuck in TV roles, but the truth was still not clear. It was important that she had a better idea of what she wanted after the project was over. In 1980, her big break came when she played Sissy in Urban Cowboy. The movie came out on June 6, 1980, and her role with John Travolta changed the course of her career. She fought hard for the part and beat out Michelle Pfeiffer to get it. Critics and audiences loved her performance right away. Her intensity lit up the screen, and the chemistry she had with Travolta was a big part of the movie's appeal. Their different acting styles sometimes made things tense on set. But the tension made the story come alive. Friends and family remembered Sissy. She was strong, honest, passionate, and open. She showed a spirit that was both rebellious and triumphant in the scene with the mechanical bull at Gillies. Critics said that her face showed pure happiness as she mastered the machine. That scene helped her become a new kind of movie star. But there were also darker parts of the set. During scenes in practice, her intensity went too far. During a fight scene, Travolta hit her so hard that one of her front teeth fell out. Even though it hurt and shocked them, production kept going. Their working relationship was a mix of conflict, attraction, and artistic fire. After filming was over, they continued to date long enough for Travolta to ask her to marry him, but she said no. Director James Bridges also ran into her intensity. He shut down the whole set for a day when she wouldn't play a scene she thought was wrong. It cost a lot, and he was mad at first, but he realized she was right in the end. That moment changed how he felt about her, and he fought hard for her afterward, realizing that her challenges were based on art, not ego. The role that changed everything then came along. An Officer and a Gentleman hit theaters on August 13, 1982, and changed her career. It made $129.8 million in the United States, even though it only cost $6 to $7 million to make. And made the third most money of any movie in 1982. Winger was nominated for her first Oscar for her role. Things were much worse behind the scenes, though. She and Richard Gere didn't talk much. She said working with him was like acting against a brick wall, which she thought about for a long time. Even though people saw love, there was a lot of distance, confusion, and private anger on the set. She later said in interviews that she felt insecure while filming and often yelled at other people. She even said she never really liked the movie, not even when she did. She also talked openly about how dangerous producer Don Simpson was. He once gave her water pills and told her she looked bloated. Those events changed how she saw Hollywood and stoked the fire inside her that had been there for a long time. After that, her career took off. Because of how well the movie did, she gained power, fame, and an Oscar nomination for Terms of Endearment the very next year. Studio executives were wary of her because she was so honest and brave, which made her roles so powerful. They said she was tough. They thought her intensity was pride instead of intensity. She was smart about what she did, though. She was 18 years old and faced death, but she lived. The 1983 movie Emma Horton starred Debra Winger. The movie was meant to be simple, but it had so much weight that a bad actor could not handle it. That's how many theaters' Terms of Endearment opened in 260. No one thought it would have such a big following. Still, it kept drawing people in until it reached an amazing $184,000 in the United States. People were stunned as the credits rolled because her role as a young mother with cancer seemed so real. At the 56th Academy Awards, held in the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion on April 9, 1984, she was nominated for an award for it. She even got an award from the National Society of Film Critics. The movie won 11 Oscars and was the big deal at the ceremony. For Winger, it was a moment when everything was in sync, but things were already starting to fall apart around her. There was trouble from the first day she worked with Shirley MacLaine. Winger told MacLaine to stand on her mark because they were going to start filming a scene together. She called her mom because that's what she did. MacLaine gently reminded her that she knew what her grades meant. They would never be able to close that door again after that simple exchange. The tension quickly spread throughout the set as soon as it started to build. Later, director James L. Brooks said that the energy was like seeing parents fight in front of their kids. Then came the moment that became famed in Hollywood. As soon as MacLaine finished his cool answer, Winger walked away, lifted her skirt, looked back, bowed a little, and farted right at MacLaine. It was done on purpose. It was brave. It was the start of a fight between them that would last for decades. On set, people were shocked as they watched it happen. From there, the chaos got worse. Winger kept going. During practice, she played loud music, which made the crew have to stop and start scenes over and over again. Her sudden outbursts seemed to be meant to make MacLaine nervous. Every day brought a new problem, and MacLaine later said that the situation was tiring. Still, Winger gave performances that broke hearts when the camera was on. In 1986, she told the New York Times that she couldn't hide the problem. She even made a joke about how they wouldn't be having lunch together for a while. She said that they pushed each other and that even though they were fighting, there was always some kind of respect between them. MacLaine wrote many years later that she thought Winger was brilliant, even though she made her feel bad. By the time of the 1984 Oscars, on April 9, everyone had seen both women in the same category. There was more heat in the air that night because both Winger and MacLaine were up for Best Actress. Not one but 5 major awards went to terms of endearment. When McLean was named the winner, Winger stayed seated and held up a fake Oscar while other people around her posed with real ones. James L. According to Brooks, she dealt with the loss with a surprising amount of grace, even though she was the only major cast member who didn't get a trophy. The silence around her was heavier than cheers. All of these things shaped the legacy she left behind. People in Hollywood came to know Debra Winger as someone who could give great performances and make a set storm. Later, McLean said she had always wanted to work with Winger's brilliant but troubled mind. This was both a compliment and a warning. The famous fart story was told again and again in interviews and books, especially after McLean wrote about it in her 1995 autobiography. Still, the movie's success, it made more than $108,000 in the US and was nominated for 11 Oscars, showed that strong art can come from the weakest foundations. People talked about Winger's reputation for being smart and hard to deal with for a long time after the cameras stopped rolling. During the 1980s, she had a lot of roles that showed Hollywood still wanted her. In 1986, she was in the movie Legal Eagles with Robert Redford. The movie had a huge $40,000 budget, which wasn't common at the time. It opened to $8,040 and went on to make $9,350 around the world. In the 1988 movie Betrayed, she played an undercover FBI agent in a story that took her deep into white supremacist groups. The movie cost $19,000 to make and opened at number 2 with $5,830,000, making a total of $2,500,000, or $800,000 in the US. By 1990, she was the lead in Bernardo Bertolucci's The Sheltering Sky. Because the experience changed her so much, she stayed in the Sahara Desert long after filming was over. It was the roles that scared her and made her change that she kept going after. In the same way, her personal life became very dramatic. In the early 1980s, she started dating Bob Kerrey, who was governor of Nebraska at the time. They met in 1983 while she was filming Parts Unknown in Lincoln. Their relationship was interesting to everyone because it seemed to mix Hollywood and politics in a way that wasn't real. They were together until the end of 1985, and even after they broke up, they stayed close. They owned the Prairie Life Center, a gym in Omaha, together. After her divorce from Timothy Hutton in 1990, she went to see Kerry again during a Senate break, which led to rumors that they were getting back together. People will never forget the quiet intensity of their relationship. She ran away with Timothy Hutton on March 16, 1986, not long after her relationship with Kerry ended. He was already well known because he won an Oscar when he was young. Tobias Noah Hutton was their son. He was born in 1987. But the marriage fell apart almost right away. They broke up by May 1989. By December 1989, Hutton had filed for divorce and asked to share custody of their son, who was 2 years old at the time. The split was finalized in 1990. During their short marriage, they worked together on 2 movies, though one of the roles was only a cameo. Even though they were very in love at first, they drifted apart faster than anyone thought. She then played Joy Gresham opposite Anthony Hopkins in Shadowlands, which came out in 1993. It was for this role that she was nominated for another Oscar, her third at the 1994 ceremony. She joined a small group of very well-known actresses who had reached that level. There were no awards for Hopkins's work in the movie because he was also in The Remains of the Day that year. And because of Academy rules, he couldn't be in the same category twice. The Los Angeles Film Critics Association also put Winger up for an award. Every time someone asked, she kept showing that she could rise again. To see if she had had enough. Her personal life took a big turn when she met actor Arliss Howard on the set of Wilder Napalm in 1991. In 1996, they got married. He had a son named Sam, and she had a son named Noah. They had their own son, Gideon Babe Ruth Howard, who they called Babe, in 1997. They stayed married, which gave her the stability she had been looking for years. Howard was in movies like Natural Born Killers and Moneyball. He and his wife also lived on Broadway for a while before moving back to Los Angeles. As of 2021, they had been together for 25 years. In 1992, Penny Marshall cast her as Dottie Hinson in a show that was in a league of its own. This showed how dedicated she was to her job. Winger worked out with the Chicago Cubs for 3 months to get her body ready to be a real catcher. From the 1940s, she learned how professional batters and catchers hit the ball and how to keep time like athletes who had played during a war. She wanted to honor the women who played baseball when men were sent to war. That wasn't all she did for the part. It was their job to do it. When Madonna joined the cast as Mae Mortabito, everything changed. By that time, Madonna had had a rough time with movies. After the success of Desperately Seeking Susan in 1985, she had a string of movies that didn't do well at the box office, including the flop Shanghai Surprise in 1986, which won her a Golden Raspberry Award. The damage was made worse by Who's That Girl in 1987 and Bloodhounds of Broadway in 1989. It was in the hopes that an ensemble cast would hide her flaws that she took the part in A League of Their Own. That's not how Winger felt. Thought that putting Madonna in the movie made it less serious. Winger quit. She called the project an Elvis movie, which made it sound like it was becoming more of a show for a star than a story about real athletes. She had a rare pay-or-play contract with the studio, so even after she quit, she still got paid in full. It was the only deal like that she had ever had. And she said it would be hard to enforce unless the studio agreed with her. The movie kept going without her. Gina Davis filled the part and was nominated for a Golden Globe. Their Own League started on July 1, 1992, and made $13,700,000 in its first weekend. It went on to make $175,000 in the United States and $130,000 to $440,000 around the world. Madonna put out the song This Used to Be My Playground for the soundtrack. It came out on June 16, 1992, and got to number 1 on August 8, 1992. It was her 10th number 1 single, breaking a tie with Whitney Houston. It got a Golden Globe nomination and was given the Gold Award. Debra Winger did something almost unheard of in Hollywood in 1995, after filming her last scenes in the romantic comedy Forget Paris with Billy Crystal. We lost sight of her. No news was given, there was no farewell interview, and there was no dramatic farewell. One day, she was there, still powerful, still admired, and still easy to get money from. The next day, she stopped reading scripts. She stopped calling agents and directors back. She disconnected herself from the whole thing. She said in an interview in 2002 that the truth felt both simple and heavy at the same time. She was sick of telling herself over and over that she wanted to leave for years. It wasn't a sudden move. She had been slowly coming to this decision even though her career seemed to be going well. People were most shocked by the time. She left with 3 Oscar nominations already under her belt and the most money she had ever made. Others tried to stay important, but she left the stage without looking back. At that moment, something else wasn't going to go away. She turned 40 in 1995, and that birthday hit her like a wall. She later said that it made things clear. After seeing Hollywood, she decided it was time to leave. She told the New York Times a year before, in 1994, that she thought she was nearing the end of her career. It hurt a lot to say that because it was true. The roles that were coming in were getting less ambitious and full of life. Women with a lot of layers were being changed into thin versions of themselves. Without a soul, they are mothers, wives, and background figures. She knew what the feelings were. She had seen them happen on TV before. It didn't feel good to repeat them. She said that the parts didn't interest her anymore because she had already felt or done them. It wasn't ego. Being honest. Hollywood just didn't have room for the woman she was becoming. A few months before she finally left, something happened that made them stay together. She agreed to be in a movie called Divine Rapture in 1995. It takes place in an Irish village. Johnny Depp and Marlon Brando were in the cast. A woman comes back to life at her own funeral in this strange and personal story. The money was gone after 2.5 weeks of filming. Overnight, production fell apart. As soon as possible, the Hollywood cast and crew left the country. The local workers were shocked and not paid. Winger stayed. People who had given her time and trust could not make her leave them. She later said that she felt terrible for them. She was never paid for the work she did. That moment changed the way she would always think about the business. In the end, she said it was the end of her Hollywood career. All the things she didn't like about the business became clear at once. The way she felt about Hollywood had been hurt for a long time before that. She was hurt badly in a bicycle accident in 1985, which made a back injury from her teens worse. She was getting ready to play the lead role in Peggy Sue Got Married. She had to be in traction with a herniated disc because the injury got so bad. The doctors said it could take anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 months for her to get better. Kathleen Turner got the role. Who were praised for it. The part loss wasn't the only thing that hurt. Winger had a lot to do with making the project happen. She even helped bring on director Penny Marshall before Marshall quit because she didn't agree with Winger's ideas for the project. She learned how quickly things change in business, no matter how invested you are. Off-screen life became more important. The two got married in 1996. Arliss Howard is an actor and director, who she had met on the set of Wilder Napalm many years before. Both people had sons from previous relationships when they got married. Their son, Gideon Babe Ruth Howard, was born in 1997, when she was almost 42 years old. Just the name made me feel like I wasn't going to do what was expected of me. She chose her family and didn't say sorry. She later made it very clear. She had a child. Her mom died. She taught. She put on plays. She lived her life. No longer did she want to spend months on location or go on endless press tours. Family wasn't a side trip. It was the place to go. There was never any anger in her voice when she talked about leaving. They sounded happy. She said the feeling was like being free. She didn't say anything close to that. Not having to try out or wait by the phone for work was the first time in decades. There is no judgment over her worth. Everything was up to her. She could say and do anything she pleased. She never explained her absence as leaving the job market. It was more like pausing without knowing when or if she would play it again. She didn't work in movies at all from 1995 to 2001, but her life was full. It was as a fellow that she taught a course at Harvard University in 1999 that was about literature and social reflection. They were taken care of by her. She read poetry aloud. She thought about ideas without having to perform them. Her disappearance was so well known that in 2002, a documentary called Searching for Debra Winger was made about it. It started a larger conversation about sexism and ageism in Hollywood. No matter what she meant, her choice made a statement. She came back for a short time in 2001, but only on her own terms. Because her husband wrote and directed Big Bad Love, she agreed to be in it. She helped make the movie so she could keep creative control. She made it clear that she wasn't going back to Hollywood. She was just older, different, and didn't want to go back to where she came from. The movie didn't do very well at the box office, which was fine. The same pattern ran through her later work. In 2005, she gave a heartbreaking performance in the TV movie Dawn Anna, which was about a mother who lives through brain surgery but loses her daughter in the Columbine shooting. The part got her nominated for an Emmy and showed people what she could do when the material mattered. She played an emotionally distant mother in Rachel Getting Married in 2008, giving a quiet, restrained performance. Her critics gave her high marks. The movie got almost universal praise. It was the one she picked because it asked her to do something real. Television followed some of them. In 2010, she was on Law and Order. Later, she had a major role in season 3 of In Treatment as an actress who was falling apart under a lot of stress. It was hard to read. There were no stages or costumes. She made a promise because it was important to her. She was in 65 episodes of The Ranch from 2016 to 2020, which was her longest running role in decades. She still wouldn't move or give up her life for the industry, though. She picked the times she worked. When she turned 70 years old on May 16, 2025, she felt completely and purposefully cut off from Hollywood. She got old without saying sorry. No campaign to reinvent. No need to look for relevance. Just being there. In 2026, she went to a small public event in Little Rock to talk about art and activism instead of fame. Those same clear thoughts went back to a time before Hollywood claimed her. On New Year's Eve 1973, when she was 18, she fell off a moving truck at an amusement park and had a huge brain hemorrhage. It was like she woke up blind and stuck on one side. Doctors told her that things might never be the same again. As she lay there, she made up her mind she would become an actress no matter what. That accident made her stronger. Later, injuries limited what she could do. Hollywood tried both of them.